The stars flickered, distant and indifferent, as the small spacecraft descended through the atmosphere of a strange planet. Inside, a battle-worn alien mother, her skin a pale shade of green that shimmered in the dim light of the cockpit, fought against the searing pain of hunger and cold. Her child, a small, fragile being, lay wrapped in a bundle of charred fabric beside her, shivering uncontrollably. The planet she had crash-landed on was harsh and unwelcoming, its surface frozen and barren. The supplies they had managed to salvage from their wreckage were dwindling. Her only remaining option was to burn her own clothes to keep her child warm, a desperate sacrifice in the name of survival. But she didn't know how much longer they could endure this. Not without hope, not without help. Story: Captain David Locke's ship cut through the cold void of space like a comet, a steady hum beneath his feet reminding him of the vast emptiness that surrounded him. His mission was simple: survey uncharted planets, gather information, and return home. A routine, almost monotonous job for the seasoned astronaut. He had no idea that today, the cold winds of space would lead him to a discovery that would change everything. As his ship broke through the atmosphere of the unknown planet, the sensors began to pick up a faint distress signal. It was weak, intermittent, but there was something about it that drew him in. As a veteran pilot, Locke was no stranger to strange signals, but this one seemed different. The pattern was erratic, almost as if the source was struggling to maintain its broadcast. His curiosity piqued. Locke adjusted his course and descended toward the source of the signal. His ship's landing gear touched down on the frozen ground with a soft thud, and as he stepped out into the alien landscape, the wind howled around him, biting at his exposed skin. He shivered, but pressed on, following the signal until it led him to a small cluster of rock formations. And then he saw them. Two figures huddled together in the cold, barely visible against the white expanse of the landscape. One was a small child, wrapped in tattered remnants of cloth, and the other, the alien mother. She looked like something out of a nightmare, a slender, pale figure with eyes large and reflective, a face that held a mixture of strength and despair. Locke's heart skipped a beat as he approached them cautiously. The alien mother's eyes locked onto him, wide and filled with fear, but there was something else, something that screamed of desperation. "Please," she whispered, her voice weak and strained. "Help us." He knelt beside them, the warmth of his presence a stark contrast to the chill that permeated the air. He didn't hesitate. "What happened?" he asked, his voice gentle. "My ship. It crashed," the mother explained, her words coming out in broken, labored breaths. "I've been trying to keep my child warm, but the cold is too much, and I have nothing left." Locke's gaze shifted to the child, whose small body trembled uncontrollably in the freezing air. The fabric that had once been clothes lay in ashes, the last remnants of her attempt to keep the little one alive. Without thinking, Locke pulled off his own thermal jacket and draped it over the child. The alien mother's eyes widened in surprise, but she said nothing, only clutching her child tighter, as though afraid he might vanish with the warmth. "What's your name?" Locke asked softly. "Azza," she replied, her voice filled with sorrow. "This is my son, Jalen." David nodded. "Azza, I'm Captain David Locke. I'm here to help, but we need to get to my ship. It's warm there." Azza hesitated, her eyes flicking toward the wreckage of their vessel. "There's no hope. The ship is beyond repair. We're stranded." Locke stood and offered his hand. "Then let me help you. I have the tools, the supplies. We can fix this." Azza met his gaze for a moment, doubt and fear warring in her expression. But then, perhaps seeing the determination in his eyes, she took his hand, her frail fingers trembling against his gloved skin. Together, they made their way back to Locke's ship. The alien landscape stretched endlessly around them, its barren beauty an unforgiving reminder of how far they were from safety. But David refused to let that thought in. He had one mission now, getting Azza and Jalen to safety. Once inside the warmth of the ship, Locke guided them to the medical bay, where he began scanning Azza's vitals. She looked exhausted, her body worn from days of struggle. Jalen, though still weak, was starting to stabilize thanks to the warmth from the jacket. Locke's heart ached for them both. "You'll be all right," Locke reassured them, though doubt gnawed at him. The planet was inhospitable, the storm outside raging with a ferocity that seemed unnatural. They needed to leave. Fast. Ozza looked up at him, her eyes full of gratitude. I never thought a human would come to help us. Locke's brow furrowed. Why wouldn't we help? She hesitated, as if searching for the right words. We are different. To your people, we're just another species. Another threat. Not worth the trouble. David shook his head, the bitter irony of her words sinking in. We're not all the same. I know what it's like to be stranded, to feel hopeless. No one deserves to suffer like this. Oz's voice was barely a whisper. My people, they will never know what happened to us. We're too far from home, too far to be saved. The silence between them was heavy, the weight of shared loss pressing in. Locke didn't know what had brought Ozza to this strange world, nor did he know how her people would react to the idea of her survival. But he knew one thing for certain. He wouldn't leave her or jail him behind. Over the next few hours, Locke worked tirelessly to repair his ship. He made adjustments, recalibrated systems, and did everything he could to get them off the planet. Ozza helped when she could, though her strength was fading. Despite everything, she seemed to find solace in Locke's company, the quiet bond that formed between them growing stronger with each passing minute. As they finally powered up the ship and prepared for takeoff, Locke turned to Ozza. We're leaving this place. Together. Ozza's gaze softened, her eyes brimming with emotion. I don't know how to thank you. Locke smiled, though it was a weary one. No need to thank me. We're all just trying to survive, one day at a time. The ship lifted off the ground, breaking through the atmosphere and into the vastness of space. As the stars stretched out before them, Locke and Ozza stood together, side by side. For the first time in what felt like forever, Ozza felt the warmth of hope stirring in her chest. You're not alone anymore, Locke said, his voice steady. You've got a place in this universe. And so does your son. Ozza's heart swelled with emotion, a tear slipping down her cheek as she looked out at the infinite sky. I thought all was lost. But maybe there's a chance for us yet. David smiled, the horizon ahead gleaming with the promise of new beginnings. Whatever dangers awaited them, they would face them together. And for the first time in a long time, Ozza felt a flicker of warmth in her soul that had nothing to do with the fire she had once started to keep her child alive. It was the warmth of hope, the warmth of being seen, understood, and cared for. And in the cold depths of space, that was more than enough.